Hello everybody, welcome back to Algo Academy and welcome to a new problem which is minimum value of 3. We are given three integers a, b and c and we should return the smallest number from them. The catch is that we are not allowed to use built-in functions like min. And you are going to see this in some coding interview questions. When a question can be solved in a straightforward manner only using some built-in functions or maybe some built-in classes, which are classes and functions that are already implemented in your preferred programming language, then the interviewer is going to ask you for an alternative solution, a quote-unquote handmade solution, in order to see that you master the fundamentals. So the problem is pretty self-explanatory, but let's take an example. If we have a equals 7, b equals 4 and c equals 9, obviously from 7, 4 and 9, the smallest number is 4, so our function should return 4 for this input. Perfect. Now let's solve the problem. As you know, at Algo Academy, we like to take everything one step at a time. Our teaching method is so efficient because we first think about smaller, simpler problems and then build on top of those solutions in order to solve the bigger original problem. So, let's say the problem only gave us one number a. Obviously, this is simple, the minimum is a, so our function is just going to consist of one line of code, which is return a. Cool. Now, the natural, bigger problem is, let's say we are given two numbers, a and b. Which one is the smallest? As you know, at Algo Academy, we translate ideas into code. So we will start by thinking, what is our mental process? How do we decide in our mind what is the smallest number between a and b? Well, there are only two options, right? Either a or b. So when is a the smallest number between the two? Obviously, when a is less than or equal to b. So we can first check that. In order to quote-unquote check things or conditions in a programming language, we use if-else statements. So we will write an if statement. If a is less than or equal to b, then obviously a is the answer, so our function will return a. Else, it will return b. Now we should remember that we write our solution, our code, inside a function. So if the condition a is less than or equal to b is satisfied, then our function will return a and stop executing. Otherwise, it will move on and execute the next line of code below return a. This means that we can actually get rid of the else statement because it is redundant. And think about it. If a is less than or equal to b, the next code below return a is never going to be executed anyway. Now this is how the solution looks like for two numbers. Now it's time to think about the original problem where we have three numbers, a, b and c. What is now different from the version with only two numbers is that now there are three possibilities for the minimum value. It is either a or b or c. But the idea is the exact same. So, we will first check if a is the smallest number from these three. When we had two numbers, we only had to check if a is less than or equal to b. Now, we will have to check if a is less than or equal to b and also a is less than or equal to c. And if so, a is our solution and we should return a. Otherwise, we should check if b is our solution. So we should check if b is less than or equal to a and b is less than or equal to c. And if so, we are going to return b. And you can notice here that I didn't use an else statement. And the reason for this is the exact same one as for the previous version of the problem. It is redundant. If the condition in the first if statement is satisfied, then the code below will not be executed anyways. Cool, so we checked if a is our solution, then we checked if b is our solution, and finally we are going to check if c is our solution. If c is less than or equal to a and c is also less than or equal to b, then we are going to return c. And now a quick question for you. Do I really need this last if statement? which checks if C is our solution? Well, I don't. Because if A is not our solution and B is also not our solution, then it is clear that C is going to be our solution. So instead of checking these conditions for C, I can get rid of the if statement and just return it. And this is it, guys. Now, while this solution is correct and fast, I want to show you a slightly different one, which will be simpler and also make the code cleaner when dealing with more than 3 values. So for example, let's say you wanted to find the minimum value of 5 values, or you are given an array of integers and you wanted to find the minimum value, which is actually a problem that we are going to solve next on Algo Academy. So what I want to propose is using a variable named minval to store the answer. If we have only one number, a, then the previous solution will turn to this one using minval. Now let's see for 2 numbers. Using minval, we will first initialize it to a. So we basically suppose that a is the minimum value. Then we check if b is less than minval, and if so, we will assign the value b to the variable minval, because b is the actual smallest value. And in the end, we return minval. As simple as that. Now for 3 numbers, we again start by supposing that a is our solution, so we initialize minval with a. Then we check if b is actually smaller than a, so if b is less than minval, I could have also written if b is less than a, it is the exact same thing, and if the condition is satisfied, I will assign the value b to minval, because between the first 2 numbers, b is the smallest value. At this point, in minval, I store the minimum between a and b. So what I need to do next is check if c is actually our solution. So I need to check if c is smaller than a and smaller than b. So I need to check if c is smaller than the minimum of these 2 values, which is stored in minval. And if so, I will assign the value c to minval. And in the end, I am going to return minval. And this is it, guys. Now again, both solutions are correct. Both solutions run in constant time and use constant extra space, so don't worry about that. But think about if you had the problem minimum value of 5 values. Then writing the if statements from the first solution would get pretty messy, right? If a is less than or equal to b, and a is less than or equal to c, and a is less than or equal to d, and a is less than or equal to e, and you got the idea, right? Using the second approach is much cleaner, and more than that, for more complex problems, for example, if we want to get the minimum value of an array or of some collection, then the first approach obviously doesn't work. Only the second one does. But we are going to solve this problem in the future on Algo Academy. Thanks for your attention. Feel free to use the coding tutorial to implement the second solution, or if you want to implement the first one, make sure you switch the coding tutorial off and write your own code. And as always, I'll see you on the next problem.